Hi folks, Captain Karl Burnside here, Thumbs Up Charter Services. Welcome to another episode of Thumbs Up Charter Services Behind the Scenes. Got a windy day out here behind us, can't go fishing, time to work on the Ambrose. So we're still working on the trailer here, and today we're going to work on repairing or at least cleaning and lubricating the two drum brake assemblies that go on the back tag axle of the trailer, and then we're also going to work on the surge brake unit on the front of the trailer, is also the trailer hitch. We're going to replace that. So as I like to say, without any further ado, tag along with us, because here we go. So what we have here is the drum brake assembly, and this is a very unique one. I think in a previous video I might have mentioned that the bolt spacing is different per our local trailer dealer than a lot of things that are modern. This trailer is 1974. So there is nothing to replace this unit. I would really love to have had that. We would have to replace the axle assembly itself. And the shoes and the hardware don't appear to be in too bad a shape. We're going to check out the wheel cylinder here. And the interesting thing about this wheel cylinder is it was cast as part of the central bracket, if you will, that attaches everything to the axle. So there's really no way to replace the wheel cylinder if it were bad without replacing the entire unit. This is an older Bendix unit, and if you can see here on the part number, if I can get on that, at the very edge you'll see a R. That stands for right hand side, and of course the corresponding other part number has an L for left hand. I guess it's important to also, kind of help you guys out. A lot of discussion, what is the left and right hand side of a vehicle? Well, in the motor vehicle industry, the left and right hand side of the vehicle can be determined by stepping to the back of the vehicle. So let's go over here, and just a simple little rule of what we have is if you're at the back of a trailer, truck, car, whatever, we're at the back of the Ambrose right now, as you stand at the back of it, your right hand side is the right hand side of the vehicle, and your left hand side as you stand and look at the back of it is your left hand side of the vehicle. So a lot of people, folks get confused, try to go off the front of the trailer, and of course that would be, or the vehicle, and that would be completely the opposite. So what we've got to do here today is remove these springs, these actual return springs for the shoes. And then down here we have this star wheel deal, and another spring down here. We got to take the star wheel out, because it moves a little bit, but this is your adjuster, and it's pretty stiff. So we got to take this all apart, take the shoes off of this assembly, clean up the pivot points that are here and here on each shoe, so that these slide in and out as they're actuated smoothly. And then we're going to take a look at the wheel cylinder rubber here, take our best guess at it. Hopefully it's okay. We're really hoping it's okay. We don't have a replacement for it. And then, eventually here soon, next couple videos, we'll get these installed back on the unit. But the other part of this episode is about the surge brake unit, which is right here. This is an old Bendix unit, and we're going to replace this. And the reason I'm replacing it is, first of all, you see it's what I call a gooseneck. It raises up, so when you attach this to the tow vehicle, your tongue and tow bar off of the trailer is sitting lower to the ground, and that's just not optimal. And the second thing is that the safety release over here, I've tried lubricating it and playing with it. Man, is it ever a booger to work with and try to get it to correctly lock onto the trailer ball itself. So we're just going to replace this entire unit. I'm not even sure of the state of the Bendix master cylinder here. I mean, at one time it had fluid in it, as you can see. But it's so old, obviously it's original to the trailer. We're just going to simply replace this unit with a modern, what we call Dexter manufactured unit. Let me bring this up here on the table. This is a replacement. This is a Dexter 6600. Formerly, I think the company was called Tie Down. But I've used this particular model on most of my boat trailers, and I really like it. We got a heavy-duty breakaway cable here to actuate the brakes. Well done. An integrated master cylinder into the unit. And what I really like is this pin deal on the front. you got a pin that's attached to it, okay, that locks your trailer ball into place, and you can also use this pin on the opposite side here when backing up. You know, when you try to back up, a lot of times your trailer brakes will activate. So by simply taking that same pin that locks this in place, you know, no master lock or anything required, you know, keep your trailer tongue together as you're going down the road. You put it in here, and this basically makes this a solid unit, so when you back up, okay, your trailer brakes won't come on. And it's quick, easy, simple to do. So I've had a lot of good luck with these, I'll call them Dexter now. So you can see it says Dexter. But I think formerly tie-down company surge brake units, and we'll get this on. Now, one thing that's going to be probably a problem is if you look here at our mounting holes, we have a 3x5 trailer tongue. Our mounting holes are here, here, and here. And if you look at this older model, we've got a bolt here and a bolt there. So we're probably going to have to do some drilling of the front of that trailer tongue to get this unit to fit. Not a big deal, but just be aware on older units that might be a possibility. You can also see here what's really cool about these Dexters. Another thing I like about them, you know, these units, how they apply, they're called a surge brake because when the tow vehicle, you step on the brakes, the mass from the trailer pushes forward onto the ball, right? So these things actually compress, and as you compress, you actually push on a rod that activates the master cylinder, which activates the trailer brakes, okay, hydraulic trailer brakes. But what's really nice about these is that internal slide has these Zerk fittings here and here. So a pump of grease or two a year, a season through those, keeps this whole thing working really good. And you know, the older units just don't, a lot of other units don't have them, and certainly the older units don't have them. So no binding on this one. This is all around a really great piece of equipment. Now, you got to be careful too when you select these. You got to know whether you have drum or disc brakes for your trailer. Of course, we have the older drum brakes. So here's a notice saying not for disc brakes because that's a different pressure ratio, okay, and a different system completely. So there is a difference on that. You just can't order one of these. You got to figure out what kind of braking system you have on your trailer. And that's an important note. And the second thing is, this is a 6600. I think this might be the smallest one that Dexter makes for trailer brakes. So it's good for trailers up to 6,600 pounds. Obviously, bigger boats, bigger trailers with more weight would require some of their larger units. I think they make an 8,800 and maybe like a 12,000, stuff like that. But if you visit the folks out there at Dexter or Google it, they've got size charts and all that good stuff out there to help you out and figure this out. So, I think the first thing we're going to do is disassemble this guy. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So I'm going to start disassembling this unit, and I will always give my cautions first. You know, this is me doing this. I've done it for a long time, but if you got service instructions, always follow them. I don't have any particular tools for this, so we're going to be using some basic hand tools to try to get this apart, put it back together. There's always a danger of injury, so don't follow what I do. This is just kind of for entertainment and reference purposes here. Your own sick, twisted mind, if you will, and maybe give you an idea what one of these jobs is going to entail. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to get these springs out of here. And they seem to be, they're just return springs to pull these shoes back after you've let off the brake. So what we're going to try to do is pop them out. And I'm going to have to put this down, but I'm going to pry up on this and hopefully pop this spring out, and I'll do the same to the other side here. Okay, so we were able to get the springs out, and the springs right here are kind of shaped with a hook at one end. You can see that. And then they kind of just have a flat on the other end, kind of like that. And it hooks into here. See if I can do this with a camera. Hooks into here like that. Sits on this peg. And then you got to bend this back and fit that spring into that pocket there to tension it. So it's just a simple matter of very light tension of popping these out with a screwdriver, and we were able to get them off. So now that those springs are out of the way, these shoes should slide right out of here. Okay, out of this assembly here. And what I'm going to do is just simply, yep, see I got one there. And if I do it to the other side, there we go. We got a clip here. We got to pay attention to what we're dealing with. But there is our brake assembly. And now what we can do is keep this all in order. Okay, in relation to how it went together. We got a couple of clips here we got to worry about, kind of like that. And we have a fully disassembled unit. Now we can take a look at this, and here's our actuation wheel cylinder. And I'm going to put the camera down for a minute, see if I can actuate this back and forth. We'll see if it's stuck or not. See how bad a shape we're in. Okay, so the wheel cylinder itself seems to be okay. I was able to push in on the piston here, and I can make it move a little bit. So we're going to hope that's okay. Then we come back up here. These parts here with the adjuster assembly was on the bottom of the shoes right here, and I popped those out. And what you want to do is disassemble this and clean this, okay? And we're going to clean it with a wire brush, okay, or a small brass type toothbrush. We're going to clean all the threads. We're going to put some anti-seize on this, okay, and then reassemble it. And you want to put some anti-seize up here in the cap where this spins on the end of it. See, that's all it does is just rotate around it, okay, so it can move. And then we're going to come down here to these pivot points on the brakes where these metal clips were. And we're going to clean these areas. Oops, sorry. We're going to clean these areas here, clean the area on here, lubricate that, lubricate it in here where it slides, where that shoe slides in and out. So we want this really smooth and to work well, you know, so that there's no binding when you apply the brakes. We'll also clean these pegs where the springs went. We'll put a little anti-seize on those as well too. Okay, so we have cleaned all the pivot points on this assembly. We've cleaned the clips for the shoes. We've cleaned the pivot points and all the debris off of the shoes themselves. Went up here and cleaned all the threads and the spring of all the debris, dirt, and stuff as best we could. And now we're going to apply some grease to the pivot points here. And we're going to reassemble this unit. So we've gone back through, and the adjuster, we've used anti-seize on it on the threads and on this little cap right here. Make sure that it spins, okay? Everything moves freely. We've gone to this main unit, and we've applied some brake lubricant here, here, and then again on the back sides, here and here, here and here. So now it's a simple matter of just taking this unit, reassembling what we have, okay, with the adjuster and the spring down here. And we'll transfer the shoe assembly into this. Put these clips, which need a little bit of lubricant on them too. They're like shoe shims or something here. They fit right in here, and then you push the shoe into this area right here. We'll get that all reassembled here in just a second. Okay, so we have the assembly, the shoes back in place. The adjuster's in here. Now this is interesting. This is not an auto adjuster. You manually adjust these when you service the brakes to the drum. There's no mechanism here to ratchet on the star wheel, which like on an automobile you would see. So every time you back up that these adjust. So really it's interesting that it appears these brakes are only adjusted at the time of service. So we'll do that once we get them back on and the drum slide on, make sure we got a good fit to them. But we got the spring clips you saw on the table. That's what those are right there, and they're back in. They go in between the shoes. And it looks like at this point what we need to do, put a little lubricant here on these posts, and then we will get our springs locked back into place, the return springs. And hopefully we're done and this thing will work when we get it back on the trailer, because it looks like it will. Okay, well, we got this spring back in. Went in relatively easily. We lubricated this post here with some disc brake caliper, pin lubricant. Put lubricant on each end of this spring. Make sure the spring pocket was lubricated as well. Here's a spring here that's been lubricated, and they simply go into this slot right here in the shoe itself. If I can do it with one hand, there we go. And then it comes over the post like that. And then as you can see, right here, you got to take it and work it up over this to get it to pop into place, if it'll go. Probably going to have to use two hands for this. Okay, unfortunately I had to use two hands to get the second one in here, but they really do go in quite easy. I just put a screwdriver in this area here, right there, and then rotated the spring while holding this down into that pocket, and it snapped right in place. So this unit is cleaned and ready to go back on the trailer. This is the right hand side unit. Alright, so now we got the left hand unit cleaned up and put back together, just like we did the right. And the thing I forgot to mention, there's a backing plate that goes to these. That's what it looks like. Okay, it keeps all the splash and the mud out of it. And basically it bolts between the axle and the brake unit. One thing I wanted to also mention, when you were talking about the star wheel adjustment, and I said you set these, you know, when you're doing a brake job type thing or you have the hub off. There is a provision in the back here through the little rubber plug to knock that out, and it corresponds to this area. Come in here and adjust this up, or you could put more adjustment in it or take adjustment out with a flat blade screwdriver by spinning the star wheel back and forth through the back of the backy plate through that little plug right there. Okay, so there is a way to adjust it without taking the drums off completely, but we will get these back onto the trailer, get the brake lines hooked up. And we got to worry about the rest of the brake system too, which is, like I said, the surge brake at the front of the trailer here. And we'll get to that in a little bit here. Got to have all that stuff working before you know, we can actually technically have brakes. All right, well, we're moving on to the trailer tongue now, and I'm back with you here. And first things first, safety glasses, please. We're going to use an impact to take out these two 3/4 inch bolts that hold this unit, the surge brake unit, on the front of the trailer. But before I do that, I've got this fitting here from the master with this broken line on it. I'm going to keep this for reference because I got to buy some bulk brake line. We're going to buy coils of it, do our own brake line. We need like 30 feet of it. So you should invest yourself in a flaring tool. We'll show you how to flare brake lines. It's a lot easier than buying sections, putting them together and having too long of a section, coiling it up and making it, first of all, look like a hack job. But the second thing is, there's implications to doing that too. If you don't secure it right, vibration going down the road, eventually that line may break if it's not properly secured into the trailer frame somewhere. So it's much better just to buy it in bulk. Actually probably cheaper, to tell you the truth, and with a simple flare kit you'll have it for life and you can make any brake line you need. But those are for future episodes. So today we're just going to save this line, and we're going to use a brake flare nut tool or a line tool. You should try to use those anytime you can. The special design prevents the line from rounding out. Like a normal wrench might round that out and then you're in real trouble. So we're just going to give this a couple turns to get this out of here. A couple things about brake fluid. The only thing you're going to use in this per the manufacturer's directions is .3 brake fluid, not .5, which is silicone. Don't use it unless the manufacturer specifically tells you to. Our manufacturer says no for the new one, and the old one was also .3 here on the cap. Second thing about brake fluid, if you don't know, is it's very caustic to paint and other surfaces. So make sure to protect the area you're working on. I don't have any dripping out here, but here are lines out. It will remove paint pretty effectively. Now that we've got that out of the way, we're simply going to zap this thing off. To take these two bolts out, and I might have to use a pry bar suitable for manhole covers to top this thing off of the frame. Always wear your safety glasses. Always use impact sockets when using an impact such as the Ingersoll 404. Quite a powerful tool, works quite well. Let's get this thing off of here. one. See if I can grab the nut. I did. Two. So now we're free of the bolts. Free of a socket too. You get all this stuff out of the way. We'll try to pop this off with a pry bar here. Just take your pry bar, insert it at some point where you can get some leverage. Wow, that's actually loose. That's not good either. Give her a tug, give her a pull, keep going. Wiggle it off. Come on. We want you off here really bad. There we go. And presto changeo, old surge unit's off. And of course, with great fanfare, dispose of the unit properly. Alright, we're back here with you, and we got the old one off, as you saw a few minutes ago, the old surge brake. I already placed the new Dexter up here, and I started marking some mounting holes, and they were here, here, and here. And if you notice, we're running really close to the hole for the old Bendix hitch that we took off, so we can't have that. We drill holes here, this is going to move all around. There's so many holes up here. I think what I'm going to do, I got enough tongue length. I'm actually going to cut it, this tongue right off right here with a sawzall. We're going to take off about 5 or 6 inches just to get a clean break. Hopefully I'm going to measure and we can use this back hole that was from the old Bendix. I don't even need to measure. I'm looking here and here and no, they won't fit. So I got to make sure that this hole lays somewhere away from this far back hole. So I got to take a couple measurements here. Alright, I took a couple measurements here, and basically I found I'm happy if I cut right here at the back of this old hole where the brake line used to come through. That lops off 5.5 inches of this tongue, which is really kind of too long anyways. But you got to remember our hitch extends out into here, so we will have an extra length back in here, probably out into here where the ball goes. But if we cut here, we'll clear this hole for the rearward bolt hole mount, and it'll be centered between these two. In that distance, it'll be something like that. So we'll be far enough away from this where it won't be an issue where it could tear through. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to cut right here with the sawzall, cut this off, then remark and get our holes, mounting holes marked with a indelible marker back in here for that new Dexter surge brake. Alright, let's get this Dexter unit up here and see what we got. Perfect. Yep, that hole's far enough away from either of these. Slide her up on there. Mark my holes for the mounting bolts. Now, it looks like they were using grade 3 bolts on these, so you know you gotta use hardened bolts of some type. Hold these on. Looks like the ones that were on the Bendix unit from the factory were grade 3. We're gonna have to buy one more bolt, obviously, because we've only got 2 of these. But you can see here there's 3 hash marks on the top of this head, of this bolt, grade 3. Apparently that's appropriate for this. I would probably agree with that, knowing past projects. But always follow the manufacturer, what the manufacturer wants. I also like to bolt and weld, so I probably put a weld here and here on a MIG on each side, just to make absolutely positively sure. Welds are easy enough to remove, and if they're done properly, they will hold more than what the bolt can. Alright, so with that out of the way, we'll find a drill and get the drill in. Alright, we're back here and done a little more work here. We've drilled some holes. So, marked our 3 mounting holes, which we drilled, and how I drilled those was I like to use one of these deals that's kind of cone shaped, and I start the hole with that and get it so far in, and then what I do is I finish up the diameter of the hole with the proper drill bit. In this case it was a 1/2 inch drill bit. We drilled our 3 holes, got the unit ready to mount. So I found this bonus inside the trailer tongue here while I was working. Come to find out, I didn't know, but we have a brake line, 3/16 brake line, already in here. It looked like it was broken off and maybe the guy had removed it. So I checked it out that way, and it's hooked up. It goes to the brake system. Doesn't look like there's any rust or any problems with it. So we're going to try to use that. And I carefully measured and drilled a hole back here so we can bring that brake line up and into the back of the new surge brake unit. And that'll save us a lot of time running new lines, but you'll still be able to see how we flare that, because I'll have to flare the end of it with a new fitting to go into the surge brake unit. So we're going to mount this new Dexter unit on the tongue here on a temporary basis, and the reason that is I only have 2 of the 3 bolts that are necessary. We're going to have to go to the hardware store, and the other fact is, future episodes when we actually start working on the hydraulic system, I'm going to have to finagle that unit to try probably to get this line up and out, and then also to hook it up to the unit. So we're just going to loosely put it on the front of the trailer tongue right now with the 2 existing bolts we have, and we'll finish that up, like I said, in a future episode. Let's get her lined up here. In the hole, so to speak. There's one. There's 2. So there we go. We got her modified for her new hydraulic surge coupler. Well, thanks for watching our video today on the drum and shoe cleaning and repair and I guess reassembly, and then the surge brake installation, or at least cutting and pasting it onto the trailer. The rest of it will soon follow. So, like I said, we'll get that wheel bearing video or videos out as soon as we can get the parts to finish that one, and then once we do that, maybe in a couple weeks, we'll flip back to the brakes here and finish them up by installing the shoe assemblies that we cleaned today on the axle, and hooking up the brake line, showing how to flare brake line, and bleeding the system with brake fluid, and hopefully we're going to get brakes out of this. I mean, it would be 2 thumbs up if we do. I mean, the excitement and anticipation is just killing me. I need to know. But in the meantime, if you'd like to go on a charter with us, give us a call, 810-513-6073. Find us on the web, on our website, thumbsupcharter.com. There's a form on there if you'd like. You can fill that out for a reservation. You can send it to us and we'll get right back to you. Find us on Google at Thumbs Up Charter Services in Sebring and Bayport. That's 2 words, Bayport, Michigan. Or on Facebook at Thumbs Up Charter Services. Any one of those ways you can get a hold of us, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to take you out, because at Thumbs Up Charter Services we are wild for walleye. Have a great night, folks. Hope to see you soon.